Welcome to another episode of the Woman Who Wore series. And today I have the honor of having Rosanna Scotto on, who is a 3-time Emmy award-winning journalist and just a true New Yorker to the core. And I'm so pumped to have her on. And I see that she's already in the building. So let me request her. Hi.
Finally.
I know. How are you?
Good. How are you? How are you
I
holding up during this?
Oh, girl, just trying to stay sane like everybody else. The family is good, thankfully. How about you? How are things on your side?
I'm trying to roar whenever I possibly can.
Yes, that's what I like to hear. And you got your hair did today, right? Your daughter did your hair
So
today?
what happened was this. I was so overdue for color. It was really bad. Last weekend, I was like, my husband was walking behind me and he's like, there is one big long gray streak in the back of your head. And I'm like, horrors. There's nothing more that I can do. I'm spraying with shoe polish on my head. I'm like, I need to take serious matters into my hands. So I call Oscar Blondie. He says, I'm going to leave you a color kit. I picked it up and my daughter did my color today. Not bad,
It looked
right?
beautiful. She did a good job.
Not bad. It's a little dark. I feel like a rocker. But I feel like if I wash it another, time or
Couple
two.
of times, yeah.
Yeah, like the highlights will come back out.
Yeah.
How about you? You don't have to worry about these kind of things.
Oh, no, girl. Don't let it. They're all in there. You see? They're all in there. I'm just trying to stay here so people can't see. But you know what?
No. It looks good. It looks good. You don't have to worry about that.
What can you do? They just creep up on you at all
I know.
times and the worst time. Being a woman. Okay, so first I want to say thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you so much. And I want to share how we met because it is such a fun story that I love to tell over and over. So
okay, let's do it.
Rosanna was in front of her family restaurant, which we'll talk to, al fresco by Scotto. And she literally was in the street with a plate of asparagus. I'm walking down the street and I'm like, who is this? You're taking pictures in the street. And I'm like, who is this woman? Beautiful, taking pictures in the street. Like, I must meet this woman. And as I get close to you, I realize it is you. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Rosanna. And I went right up to you and you were so lovely and so sweet and took the time to speak with me. We got a video, we got pictures. And I started telling you about the Female Collaborative, which is the sponsor behind this whole series, my nonprofit. And we focus on revolutionizing how we work and do business together. And you were like, anything I can do to help. Gave me your email right there on the spot. And fast forward, here you are on the series. So thank you.
Finally.
Thank you.
First of all, you have a wonderful personality. I love how you're so driven and you have a mission. And I love that you're so female-centric and that you want to help other people, kind of rise at this point. And, it's a tough time. Everybody is like, I don't know about you, but I feel there are days that I'm like, okay, I can deal with this. I got this. I got you, COVID-19, and then there were days like, I'm like, that was yesterday.
Yes.
It was just like every 5 seconds, I'm like, I'm crying. What the frig is wrong with me?
I know.
But I was just like, reality sometimes really sucks. But, we're all in this together. So we will get through this together.
Definitely. I'm on an emotional roller coaster, just like everyone else. Some days are good. Some days are bad. Yesterday, I was also super emotional.
Maybe it was something in the air.
It's something. It's so funny because I was watching this movie that made me laugh. And then it turned into a cry because I was just like wanting to let it out. It's just crazy times, man. It's crazy times.
I think it's probably good that we let it out every now and then because this is not normal.
Right.
It's not.
Right. It's definitely not.
But it is our new normal.
It is.
And so it's going to take a while for us to adjust to this.
Definitely. And that's why I really love this series because it actually is my peace. It's like my therapy because I get to talk to incredible women. I get to, share their stories, people learn from their stories, and that positivity and that energy, like that, I feel like is the best role that I can play for myself and for my community and just for humanity right now. Like, this is the way that I feel like I get to pour out. So thank you again for being on. And what I also love about this series is it allows me to interview women I admire, but also ask questions that I've always wanted to know. So,
okay, here we go.
So I want to talk about, you've been with Fox since 1986, right?
Yeah.
And you've been in this business for a long time, but you went to school for fine arts.
I did.
So did you know that you wanted to get into journalism? How did that happen? How did you get started?
So I was always kind of interested in journalism. I mean, when I grew up, my parents were home at the same time every night. We watched dinner and we watched TV news during dinner. Mm-hmm. And there was a woman on the news at that time on Eyewitness News called Rosanna Scamardella. She wound up being Saturday Night Live's Rosanna Dana. Oh. That was not me. That was Rosanna Scamardella. And so we knew her, and I would watch her at night, and I'm like, we got the same name. We're both from Brooklyn. I think this, could be something fun. My parents wound up knowing her, and they introduced us, and I kind of sat down and talked with her, but I wasn't really sure that was what I wanted to do. I kind of had it on the back burner. And then while I was in college, I was in the theater department, and I kept, getting like the understudy parts. Come on, Victoria. I'm no understudy.
Hello.
I was like,
talk about
no way is this going to be my life. And then I was like, I am not going to wait tables until I have a real job in the theater. And then, lo and behold, Fresco by Scotto, I'm waiting tables. So never say never. But anyway, while I was in college, I realized, this probably was not my vocation. And so I then really started to concentrate on TV journalism.
But you did get roles in movies, though.
I did, playing myself.
You see how that works out?
Isn't life funny?
Yes. One of my favorite shows you were on also, New York on the Cover, was my show back in the day.
I know. That was such a good show with Malik Yoba.
Yes. And I love Malik Yoba. Yes. It was such a good show.
And I brought him.
But you were on classics too. You were on Ghostbusters, Miracle on 34th Street. Like, you were in classics.
Ransom.
Like,
pivotal scene with Mel Gibson. The Paper. I'm just saying, a pivotal scene.
Yes, exactly.
A Simple Favor. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Right? With Blake Lively. That was a fun movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, it's, I'm playing a newscaster. It's not like I'm playing a murderess or something like that.
Yeah. But I mean, look at that, though. To me, that's the dream. My dream is to get paid to do what I love doing, which is talk, educate, inspire, but most importantly, be myself. And you've managed to do that. You've managed to make a career out of being yourself and also playing yourself on TV and in movies. Like, that's amazing.
It's so funny because when I started, people would say to me, like in the business, just be yourself. That sounds so easy, right? It's not. It's really not. You really you need the experience. You need to make your mistakes. You need to do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then you're yourself. And then finally you're just like, okay, this is how I'm going to be on TV. And if you don't like it, and there are times, listen, I say things on Good Day New York that sometimes I wish why did I say that? But I said it. And it was how I felt at the moment, okay? Right. And I may have, angered some people, and then I may have turned some people off, but it's who I am. It's, genuine. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's authentic. It's who I am. So being who you are is taking a risk because you're really kind of showing who you are. Right. Not everybody likes who you are.
Right. It is the bravest thing you can do, is literally be yourself. But it's also the most rewarding because nobody could tell you nothing.
That's true. When you feel like, you're real and you're you, then that's it. There are no excuses, right?
Right. And I think there's also a confidence level that comes with that when you're comfortable in your own skin. And I think that allows you to really shine as bright as you're destined to, and also, run up to women on the street and introduce yourself and say,
Look
hey,
at you.
right?
Look at you. Yes, you did.
And so I think that is because, again, I was comfortable in my skin and just really okay with me. And this time, I think, is a good time for people to, if you're not okay with you, this is a great time for you to figure out who you are, why you are, and how amazing you are. So definitely take the time out to do that.
It's funny that you say that, because this time is really, well, maybe God just said, hey, listen, it's time for you to take a pause.
Right.
And stop running around, stop being so busy, and really think about what's important in your life, and think about who you want to be and how you want to help other people. And so I think this is a good time to kind of like reevaluate and spend some time with yourself.
Definitely.
See if you like yourself.
Which for some people is hard to do. And if you don't, figure out why.
I know.
For you to figure out why.
But sometimes too, Victoria, we are harder on ourselves than we need to be.
Yes, we are.
So,
why do you think that is?
I think women are just hard on each other. We're hard on each other. We're hard on ourselves because, we grew up with looking in the magazines and everybody was perfect. And then we found out, like last week, that everybody that's in the magazines, even the ones that are pretty, that we think are pretty close to perfect, get airbrushed, and everything else, auto-tuned or whatever the heck they do to them. So even the perfect ones are not perfect. So you got to give yourself a break. It's okay.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. So I want to get into you being in journalism as long as you have been, and how you've been able to maintain such a positive image being in the limelight, because a lot of people have difficulty doing that. They have difficulty being the one everybody loves, being the one everybody, notices on the street, and you're so warm. So how have you maintained that? Are there things that you did or didn't do to make sure that you always showed up positively for your family, for yourself, for New York? What did you do, and how did you do it?
I don't think that you can fake that. I think, either you really believe that you're part of this community and want to help, or you're not. I grew up in Brooklyn. And I don't know where you grew up, Victoria. I don't want to
I'm in Queens, but I'm
okay, fine.
Like
my husband's from Queens. We have fights all the time about Queens and Brooklyn people. But the Brooklyn people, we definitely feel like we have our own little pace.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we can, figure out who's BSing us and who's genuine. I think that I've lasted this long in this business is because I really care. I give back a lot to the community, and I go out there and I still have my finger on the pulse. I want to meet people. I want to meet Victoria. I want to find out what you're doing. I want to you know what I mean? I don't want to be just in my world. I want to learn more, and I think my curiosity is what kept, my job so alive, and I love it.
Yeah. Do you ever miss being in the field versus in the studio?
Well, what's so great is that I get to go out in the field and do stories that I want to do. I don't miss being in the field every day. I remember being on fires, or staking out a murder scene for hours and hours and hours. I don't miss that at all. Now I just do the stories that I want to do. And so it's great. It's rewarding. I get to meet interesting people. And like I said, I still get to get out into the community and hear what people want to know about. So that part is good.
So you said you get to talk about things you want to talk about. So can you walk us through, you know, a day in the life? How do you prepare for the show? You get up super early. Like, how do you review talking points? How do you decide, you know, what are the hot topics? Like, how do you guys plan for all that? How do you plan for it?
Okay, so right now, Lori Stokes and I, my TV partner, my TV wife, we are rotating working because they don't want us to get sick.
Right.
And so now, I mean, Lori and I would kind of like ping pong off each other on the show. Now, I mean, it is your show. And so there are, I don't know, sometimes 10 interviews. Everyone from like Congressman Adriano Espaillat from Washington Heights to Mandy Patinkin, you know, on Homeland, you know, on Showtime. Like, you have to know so much stuff about everybody. And I am very anal about doing my homework. I will not come in the morning without knowing every guest that's coming on. I've like kind of like written some ideas down, but really once that interview starts, that piece of paper goes to the side. It's all up here. And it's a conversation. And I'm looking for a moment. So I may not get through what I thought I was going to get through the night before, but I'm looking for that moment where we connect that's funny and that you will remember tomorrow. And, you know, when I first started off in the business, I was always like, oh, who, what, where, when, and how. Like, you got to make sure that you get the story. Now I'm more concerned about, what do you take away from that? Like, what did you learn about Mandy Patinkin this morning? Like, he got a new dog, and he's hanging out with his son and his wife in a cabin upstate New York. And his son is like, he's teaching him millennial words. Like, Mandy didn't know what LMAO is. He thought it was, let me ask you something at the office, you know? Like, he had no idea. It was just fun stuff that you want to know about, as well as the finale of Homeland. But I think that the job requires a certain amount of curiosity, and you have to be prepared. And there's a certain degree of unexplained insanity. I mean, I wake up every day at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm at work by 5. I basically shower, roll out of bed, hair's crazy, get to work, do a 5:15 meeting with the bosses, just find out what the latest rundown is for the show, put my 2 cents in, hair and makeup. And these days, there is no hair and makeup. So we do our own hair and makeup, which is very like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going back in time when I first started in the business. Anyway, hair and makeup. I've learned how to do false eyelashes. I put these strips on every day.
Oh, they look good. They look good. I'm killing it.
And anyway, and then when the show, you know, starts at 7 o'clock, it's like everything's up here, you know, did it already. Homework's done. It's up here.
Yeah. And do you find yourself also having to like keep up with the times, even on the weekend? Like, you're never off because there's so much.
Never. You know, it was the way that I was kind of like brought up in the business, which is you're always on call. And you have to know everything. And sometimes, you know, there's stories on the weekends in the newspapers and stuff. I still read the newspapers, Daily News, Post, and Times. And then, of course, some of the stuff that's online. But, you know, if you don't read it every day, you miss sometimes the nuances of various stories. So I like to keep up with everything.
So your family has gone through this journey with you as well. And I'm pretty sure have had to get used to mommy always working, being on, or even mom being on TV. You as a wife being on TV. Can you talk a little bit about family? Because I know you love family.
So I love family. That's it. It's all about family. So I met my husband in college. So we're college sweethearts. And so he's been on the journey with me. After college, I moved to Atlanta, worked for Ted Turner's TV station, CNN. It was just starting off. And then I came back, worked at WABC for a few years, got fired. And then was at Channel 5. And basically, I grew up at Channel 5. I was a single, you know, woman, got married, had kids. And has it always been, perfect? No, absolutely not. I think, with these hours, we work on conventional hours. I tried to make it as normal as possible. For many years, I worked 3 p.m. till 11 o'clock at night. Wow. I would try to come home for dinner every night to be with the kids and my husband. And now I work 4:30 to 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, 4:30 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But the thing with my shift now is that it's never over. You're always researching for the next day. We do a lot of community service. We do emceeing various charity events and stuff like that. Although I think a lot of that stuff is going to be on hold for the next few months. But it's not easy. I mean, it's hard for a woman, because I'm sure that you did too. You grew up with like very traditional values of what a woman does in the house. Mm-hmm. And I still run the house. Mm-hmm. I still run the house and make sure there's food in the refrigerator. There's food on the table for my kids at night. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that my husband every now and then doesn't go in the kitchen, but he ain't going in the kitchen six to 7 nights a week. Trust me on that one. The garbage bags that are under the sink, I bought them. You know what I mean? Like the toothpaste when you wake up in the morning, I got it.
Right.
So it's been a crazy dance, and not everything is perfect. Some days like the balls just fall on the ground, and then some days everything's up. It's everybody's happy, but I think my kids who are now in their 20s. Appreciate, our journey together, and respect the career that I've put together.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever had to deal with mom guilt?
Every day, and still. And they're old enough to be on their own. Yeah, I think it's just hard. I think it's hard for women. I think we're just kind of ingrained with that mom guilt.
Right.
But I think that we've learned over the years, and maybe your generation a little bit more than my generation, that it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We tried to make.
Yeah.
We tried to make it perfect, and it didn't always work out perfectly. Mm-hmm. But I think your generation is when I was at Channel 5, and I had my daughter. First child, I went down to HR. They didn't even know what forms to give me. That's how many people in my business were having kids. Okay, do you understand that? Now, your generation, they're all having kids. They're not thinking about what, I was thinking about, I'm working on this story, maybe this is not a good time to try to get pregnant. I was one of those people who planned everything. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And your generation, I think, is great because you're living life. You're living it in real time.
Yeah.
Which is so much better.
Yeah. I think the culture is definitely a lot different. There's a lot more freedoms that have come about with our generation. Women are much more progressive in terms of being in the spotlight than they were before and having our voices heard. So it's definitely a different time for sure. Mm-hmm. That we're all adjusting to, because there's good and bad with that.
No, I know.
Yeah. So you've been married how long?
When the dinosaurs roamed the earth. It's let me see how many years. It is 30, I think 31. Might be 32.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, congrats to you and him.
It's a lot.
Yes, it is. So he also has a demanding career too, because he's a lawyer, right?
He's a lawyer. I sleep with the lawyer.
Smart girl.
I know.
So, do you have any advice? Because a lot of us are stuck in the house with our significant others and may or may not want to choke them every single day or think this is it, after quarantine we're done. So do you have any advice for those couples out there, or even the single gals?
You know what? This is what I'm going to say. The grass isn't greener anywhere else. I've seen friends of mine who've left marriages because they couldn't stand their their husband or their significant other. And it's not like they upgraded after that. It's not that easy. I mean, marriage is work. Any relationship is work. And you got to give it the same effort that you give your job. And you got to find the time, for sexy time. And you got to find the time to talk. I mean, the other day, my husband said to me, I've listened to you already. You've asked everybody else around you how they're doing, and you didn't ask me. And I'm like, all right, so how are you? Sometimes you don't even want to know.
Right.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Okay. So on the topic of family, you have a restaurant in Midtown, Fresco by Scotto. And I was curious, how did you come up with that name? Because it's like such a flow.
It's so funny because we had a few different names at the time. And when we went to go patent it, we couldn't get it. So we did Fresco by Scotto, and we even screwed that up. We screwed everything up. Like, we didn't get the way it should have been. Whatever, it is what it is. But we've been in Midtown for 26 years, which is a very long time. I was pregnant with my son when the restaurant opened. And, sadly, we're one of, I guess, thousands of restaurants who have closed right now. And we're hoping that we're going to be able to open up after this is all said and done.
Yeah, I actually was going to celebrate my birthday. My birthday's on May 11th. I was going to go to the restaurant and celebrate with you guys. But don't worry, I'll be there soon enough. As soon as this is over,
I knew why we got along. We're Tauruses.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a Taurus. Okay. My daughter's birthday is May 8th. My son's birthday is May 10th. My father's birthday is May 10th. I mean, we have like a slew of Taurus birthdays coming up. April 28th.
Okay. Oh, so your birthday's coming up? My birthday's May 11th. So I'm like right before your son.
Yeah.
Your daughter, right? Your daughter?
Yeah. No, you're after them.
Oh, after them. Okay.
One day.
Yes, one day. I'm the 11th, they're the 10th. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So do you have any plans for the
birthday? Probably inside, locked up. It's fine. It is what it is. I'm just happy that I'm healthy right now. I feel very, like, I swear to you, there are days like I cannot sleep. Are you having that problem with sleeping?
Sleeping? No, actually. I'm sleeping all right.
There are days that I'm so anxious I can't go to sleep, and last night was one of them. And so it's just like I go through my head of things that I'm grateful for. And the biggest one on my list is health right now. I mean, you hear about all these people getting sick, and I'm just thinking, God, like, thank you so much. I don't know what it would be like to be that sick. And I don't even want to try it. Like, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So many things to be grateful that we take for granted during this time. Mm-hmm. So you are in the city still, right? Is that where you're staying?
Yes.
So what is it like living in the city?
Well, you take certain precautions. I live in a doorman building, and, I've noticed now, like, if somebody's in the elevator, they're like, oh, don't come in.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I'll wait. And, the minute you leave your apartment, you got the mask on and the gloves on. Mm-hmm. And it's uneasy. Although I will tell you, I do feel that more and more people are coming out now. And it worries me because I feel like the mayor and the governor really need to either address it and roll out a coming out party here, or otherwise people are going to take it on their own accord because either the weather's too nice or they're like they have cabin fever. But people are starting to come out. What do you notice that where you are?
I have noticed that. I've noticed that they've always been out. So I'm in New Jersey. I moved here about 5 years ago. And it is astonishing to see how many people are outside. And prior to last week, it was really upsetting to see how many people were not wearing gloves or masks or anything. We're just out there in the supermarket, standing close to one another. And I'm like, do you guys not watch TV? Like, this is a real thing. Like, do you not know this is going on? And it would make me really, really upset to the point where, like, I would talk to management and be like, do you not see this happening here? What about your workers? Do you not care about your workers? Do you not care about yourself? Even the manager was not wearing a mask or gloves. It was crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I think that you definitely see more people with masks and gloves on right now, for sure.
Now.
But people are going out. Yes. They are going out.
Now that it's been
and that's a problem.
People are like, all right, I got to wear it or I'm going to get fined now.
And maybe with all the rain, it might stop people now from going outside.
Yeah, and it's been really chilly, too, these past 2 days. I'm like, stay cold. Keep people inside. Don't let them come out. So are your kids with you at home, too?
Well, I have a daughter. Come over here and say hi, Jen.
Yes,
say hi to Victoria.
Say hi.
So my son lives in L.A.
Hi,
this
beautiful.
is Jenna.
Is this the stylist? Is this the hairstylist?
Oh, well, she's not a hairstylist, but she played one on Instagram today.
Nice. You did a great job.
Thanks. Not bad, right?
Not bad at all.
I was desperate. I mean, I really needed my hair colored. And, you can't get the back. You can't get the top. And she did a nice job, Yeah. I feel like if I wash it again, like more of my highlights will come out. So it won't be so dark.
Yeah. And you probably definitely didn't want the hubby to do this for you.
He would not want to do that.
I'm sure.
No way.
I am sure. So when we are able to try and get back to the way things used to be, is there anything in particular you want to do first?
I want to hug my parents, who I've not seen in a few months. I mean, I talk to them. We do FaceTime and stuff like that. And they're part of my Instagram story. Every day, my sister and I have Scotto Sisters on Instagram Live. And we include my mom. And so that gives her something to do. But they are bored out of their minds. I mean, these two, for seniors, they have better social lives than we do. But they've been like, the rug's been pulled out from underneath their feet.
Yes.
So I want to see my family. Mm-hmm. And then I want to hopefully go to our family restaurant, Fresco by Scotto, and then go to the hair salon.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask, what was it like going into business with family?
At the time it was like, oh my God, this is so great. Oh my God. But as time goes on, working with family is very difficult. It's very difficult. It's a very fine dance. Now, I mean, granted, I don't work at Fresco all the time, and I don't do the day-to-day business stuff that they do. I'm there, having fun and bringing in people and doing some of the public relations and stuff.
Taking pictures with asparagus in the street.
Right, exactly. I was doing the social media for the restaurant and stuff like that. But it's not easy. It's not easy to go into family business. As much as you think like, oh my God, we have each other's back. There's a different dynamic when you're working with family and you're working with people who are basically strangers, Yeah.
Can you tell us?
Have you ever worked with family in any kind of business venture?
No, I haven't worked with family. Nope, I have not. But can you tell us some of those challenges and what to look out for?
Well, it's like the dynamics of the family, where one family member thinks you're the favorite and they're not, it's still like no matter how old you get, it's still that problem. And then who's working harder than somebody else? Who has more than somebody else? It just is the dynamics. It's difficult, but the rewards are fabulous too. And it was really our home away from home for 26 years. And if our kids were looking for us, they knew where to find us. They would come to the restaurant and they would bring their friends. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, it was our home.
Yeah.
So it was, I hope that we can open up after all is said and done. But it really was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Well, you guys figured something out because you've been in business and working together for several years.
Yeah.
So
26.
26 is years. Wow.
Yeah, and especially in restaurant years, that is a long time.
Yes. Well, you're in a hot spot. So right in Midtown, right next to Black Rock.
I know.
You see over there. So you're in a spot where people love to eat and do business. I would actually order lunch from Fresco on the Go, so the restaurant right next to you guys. That would be my go-to for lunch.
Thank you.
Ran into your sister there several times. Food was awesome, by the way, guys. So you guys are definitely in like a hot spot. So I can see why. And then having you as a personality and your family just keeping it all together. Kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
So this is a question that I ask all of my guests on the series, and it is, why are you a woman who roars?
Why am I a woman who roars? I think in the business that I'm in, if you don't roar, you don't get noticed. Mm-hmm. And I learned it the hard way, year after year, maybe not getting the assignments that I wanted to get us, to cover. But, I grew up in a family where, you were kind of taught, like, if you work hard, you will get noticed. Mm-hmm. And then I worked in a business where, working hard was, of course, very important.
Right.
But you have to roar every now and then so that they really notice you.
Right.
And that's why I feel like I'm a woman who roars, because you have to stay alive. Mm-hmm. And you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to kind of let it all out. Mm-hmm. And some days it's better than other days. Some days you may lose your temper. Some days you may cry in the office. But you got to let them see you roar too, because they need to know you have fangs. Mm-hmm. You got teeth.
Yes. Oh, hey, cutie pie.
Hey. And you know what? And that you deserve to be there.
Yes. I love that. Can you give us an example of a time where you roared to get noticed?
When I first started at Fox 5, the world was so different than what you're used to. There were very few women on the staff, and the women kind of got the feature-y stories. We never got the hard news stories. Mm-hmm. And so, you had to roar. You had to say, take a look at me. I can do that story just as well as Bob or mm-hmm. Dave or whatever. But you had to come with the goods too. Mm-hmm. So, for example, one of the first stories that was like a really big story in my life was the preppy murderer, Robert Chambers. Probably have no idea who that was, but it was a young man, very handsome young man. It happened in 1986. Handsome young man from the Upper East Side. He was accused of strangling a beautiful young woman who was getting ready to go off to college. And I was not assigned to that story. And it was a big story in New York. And, the guys had day to day, the assignment on that story. They would not even let me touch it until I made friends with the victim's family. And then I roared. Mm-hmm. And then I was on that story every day. Mm-hmm. But, when you roar, you got to have the ammunition. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can't just roar and let it be just a loud voice. You got to have the goods too.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And then my final question is for you. Who was somebody you've had on the show that you were like a crazy fangirl for and you got to interview them?
I've been so lucky because I've interviewed presidents and just major iconic people in pop culture. But I will tell you, for me, Sir Paul McCartney. And just because I grew up listening to the Beatles and their music is still so relevant. And Paul McCartney is just such an iconic songwriter, singer. I don't know if you've ever seen him in concert, but this man is a musician. He plays like 100 instruments. He writes songs. I mean, he's not auto-tuned. He's not having somebody write a song for him. This is like the real deal musician. And I got a chance to interview him because my girlfriend married him.
Wow. Okay. That helps.
And it really took like, now when I see him, I'm like, I could relax a little bit. But like every time when I first was introduced to him, like I was always trying to think of something like fun to say. Like he'd be like, I like your necklace. And I'd be like, all you need is love. Like I would say stupid ass things. You know what I mean? And now like, it's more like when I see him now, I'll be like, how do you do it? Like, aren't you tired? You're traveling all over the world, more like real conversations rather than like, trying to find something fun to say.
Right. Well, Rosanna, how do you do it? Aren't you tired?
Always.
Waking up every day at 4:30.
I'm lucky, I'm one of the lucky ones. I love my job. So, and especially in this world right now where so many people have lost their job, I will never, ever complain about my job again.
That's good food for thought out there for everybody who complained in the past. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I had so much fun talking with you. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you at the restaurant soon and hopefully breaking some bread together. Enjoy this time with your family at home. Enjoy your birthday. Everybody,
you too.
Wish Rosanna happy birthday on April 28th. I want you guys
thank
to
you.
flood her Instagram, all of her social media. Let's show her some love, and thank you again so much.
Thank you, and happy birthday, May 11th, Taurus lady. And I'm so glad we ran into one another.
Same
and,
here.
You like asparagus as much as I do.
I do.
And please stay home, stay safe. Let's get through this together.
Yes, absolutely. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay well. Nice to meet everybody. Bye.